Alright guys, got a video for you. We're going to be talking about loops. First off, what is a loop? A loop is a method used to repeat some code over and over. Loops are really powerful. They help us save a lot of time and space, and I'm going to show you how to create a loop, and the particular loop that we're going to be talking about today is a for loop. Alright, so how you create a for loop. A for loop, you have to have a set of data in order to create a for loop. A for loop is a loop that requires a set of data in order for it to function. So our set of data we're going to start out with is going to be a friends list. And in our friends list, I'm just going to put some friends here for us. We'll say Kyle and John and Sammy. Let's make up some names here. Alright, so here is our set of data. This data can be a set of numbers or literally anything, but typically it's ran on a list of some sort. Here's how you make a loop. So what you do is you say for, and then I'm gonna say x in friends list, and then we're gonna do the simplest thing we possibly can, and that's literally just print out what. So print out x, and this is how we start a for loop. Okay, in this particular example here, we have x, friends list. We got our friends list as our set of data, and then we have this little x. Well, what is that x? Well, x is just a holder or a container for each element that's in the list. So currently we have 3 elements in our list. We've got Kyle, John, and Sammy. And what this is going to do is it's going to go to the friends list, which is our list of data here. And it's going to grab the first item, and the first item is Kyle. And it's going to put Kyle into X, and then it is going to print it out. And then after it's done doing that, it's going to go back up to the top, and it's going to grab another person from the list, and it's going to put it in for X, and then it's going to run, and it's going to print it out, and then it's going to repeat. And then it's going to go to Sammy. It's going to put Sammy in the X, then it's going to print it out, and then it's going to go back up to the top, and we're going to discover that there's nothing left, so your loop will be finished. Let's take a look and see what that looks like, and there it is. Kyle, John, and Sammy. So we've got each one of these things just printing out one at a time. The main thing I'm wanting to do here is I'm trying to review for the Python certification test. So this is going to be a review for questions that will be on the Python cert test. And on this particular test, they do something like this. They have like a number. They'll say number is equal to 0, and then they'll do something simple like they'll give you a list here, Kyle, John, Sammy, or whatever. They'll give you a set of data, and then they'll do something like this. They'll say number is equal to, or is plus equals 1, and then at the end they'll ask you what is number going to equal. So maybe they'll give you a question. Print, what does number equal? We can even turn this into a little game here. So let's do that. Let's say answer, or let's say guess is equal to int input what is number equal to. Alright, so they're going to ask you what is number equal to? So in that last example, well, even if we're not printing out x, it's still going to do the exact same thing. Alright, so this is going to do basically the exact same thing. So it's going to go to Kyle, and it's going to store that in for x, and then it's going to run the code. Now it has nothing to do with the x, but it is going to add 1. Then it's going to go to John, put it in for x, then it's going to do something. It's just going to add 1. And then Sammy, x, add 1. So number is going to go up, up, up. It's going to get 3. So this number is going to be 3. So the person in our example, he would type in 3, and we'll check to see if that's correct. So we'll say if guess is equal to number, we'll say that's correct. Let me fix this. Let's say that's correct. And if they get it wrong, otherwise they got it wrong because they didn't match the number, and we'll say I'm sorry, that is not correct. Try again. Alright, so let's go ahead and give this a shot. We'll hit run. What is number equal to? Equal. What? I don't like the way that says. I don't like how that says. What does number equal? Let's say that way. I like that a little bit better. What does number equal? And I'll say 3. Stupid thing. Alright, 3. And that's not going to work. Okay, we'll use this thing. 3. That's correct. Alright, so we got that right. Okay, let's keep going. So now we know how to make a for loop, and we're practicing for the Python certification test, and this is a good way to practice. Alright, let's talk about let's do a little bit more practice here. So let's say if you know what, let me stop for a second. This x is not a great variable for this. X doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me in this example. So each one of these things in my list is a friend, so I'm going to change x to friend just so it makes a little bit more sense to me. Okay, so each one of these things is going to get stored into friend, and I'm going to say if friend is equal to, and then I'll say, let's start with John. If the friend is John, what do I want to do? I want to take the number and I want to add 1. Okay, here. So now what would happen? Well, let's look at our loop again. We'll say, it'll say Kyle is our friend. So we'll start our loop. Kyle will get stored in as friend. Kyle is not John, therefore we don't add this one, but we do add this one. So then we get 1. So maybe I'll type it up here or something. So we're at 1. And then we do it again. We go to John. John is John. So then we'll add 1. So that's 2. And then we add 1 again. So that's 3. And then we'll go to the last one. Sammy. So friend is Sammy. Sammy is not John. So it skips this line. And then it adds 1 more. Alright, so now we're at 4. Alright, let's test this. So I'll run it, and I'll type 4 here. That stupid numpad thing is going to drive me bonkers. Alright, 4, that's correct. Alright, now let's talk about another thing that is going to be on the test. So you can also write an else at the end of this. I know this looks kind of weird, but you can do that. This 4 is connected to this else, and I'm going to say number is plus equals 3. Alright, what is going on here? This else is in line with this 4. So this 4 and this else, they are working together. Just like this if and this else are working together. If this one is not correct, then this one plays. And under this example, if this for loop is not playing, then this else statement will play 1 time. So basically what is going to happen here is the else statement, or let's say it like this. An else statement attached to a for loop will cause one will play once after the loop finishes. Okay. All right, so let's do this all again. So essentially, the loop is going to run, and then when it runs out of people, this else statement will play one time. That's how this is going to work. Okay, so our last answer was 4. I'm not going to make any changes here, but let's see if that actually is true. So the last time the answer was 4, this else statement says +3, so that's going to be 4 plus 3, so that should be 7. Let's go ahead and try and run this again, and I got an error because I probably made something silly happen. What did I do? Oh, I probably spelled number wrong. Okay, there we go. Capital N on number. All right, let's run this. Let's do 7. Enter. That's correct. And I'll prove it to you. I don't know if I've tested the wrong feature yet, so I'll type 3. Sorry, that's not correct. Try again. All right, so there we go. Now we've got an else. This will be on the Python cert test, so you want to pay attention to that. All right, let's try another concept. The next thing we also want to know about is there are a couple of keywords that go with a couple of keywords that go with for loops, and that is break, and that is continue. We'll talk about continue first. What does continue do? Continue says stop what you're doing and go to the next friend. Do not do any more lines of code in this particular loop. All right, so this time I'm going to add I'm going to add a friend here. Let's add Josh. And then I'm also going to make some changes to our loop here. I'll say if friend is equal to Sammy, we're going to do continue. Or we will do number plus equals 1, and then we'll throw in our new keyword here, C-O-N-T, continue. All right, let's talk about this and see what's going to happen with this new continue here. Okay, so first off, it's going to go to Kyle. Kyle's not John, and Kyle's not Sammy, so we're going to add 1. So we got 1. Then it's going to go to John. John is John, so we're going to add 1. So now we should be at 2. John is not Sammy, so we'll skip that, and then we're going to add 1, so it's 3, so that's correct. Now we get to Sammy. So Sammy's not John. Sammy is Sammy, so we're going to add 1, so that'll be 4, but then we hit this continue right here. And what does our definition say? It says stop what you're doing and go to the next friend. Do not do any more lines of code in this loop. All right, so it skips the rest of everything. So if we had a bunch more lines, it would skip all those. We only have 1 more, which is this addition right here. So we're going to skip that, and we'll go to the next one. So that is still 4. All right. Then we're going to go to Josh. Josh is not John. Josh is not Sammy. So then we're going to add 1. So that's going to be 5. And then now we're done with our entire loop. So the else is going to play. All right. So let me add that here at the end. Let's say right here, does the else play? Yes, it does. So in this case, we're going to add 3 more. So we'll say 8. All right, let's try this and see if it works. So I'm going to type in 8. I'll press enter, and that's correct. We got it right. Excellent. All right, our next keyword to talk about is going to be break. What is break? Well, break says stop what you're doing Do not go to the next person, to the next friend. Don't do anything at all. Skip the else. We are done. Goodbye. Alright, let's do another one. So I'm going to add another friend here. We're going to add Darth Vader because I feel like it. Alright, you might be able to see where this is going. So I'm going to add, let's add another if statement in here. We'll say if friend is Darth Vader, then what are we going to do? We're going to, let's say, number minus equals 5 and break. We'll test that one out. And I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to add another friend here. We'll say Mr. Smith. Alright, what's going to happen? Let's see if we can find out. And I'll change this one to Mr. No, you know what? I'll leave it. Let's keep going. Let me put this down here. Alright. Let's go over this one more time and we'll see what we can get here. Alright, first one, Kyle. So Kyle's not John. Kyle's not Darth Vader. Kyle's not Sammy. But we're going to add 1. Alright, so let's say 1. We reached the end of our for loop. So we'll go back up to John. John is John. So we're going to add 1. So that's 2. Then we keep going. John is not Darth Vader. John is not Sammy. But but we do need to add 1. So now we're at 3. Alright, so now we're at Sammy. Sammy's not John or Darth Vader, but he is Sammy. So we're going to add 1. That's going to be 4. And then we hit this continue right here. Continue says go to the next friend. And don't do any more lines of code. Alright, so let's skip to the next person. So now we're on Josh. So Josh is our friend. He's not John. He's not Darth Vader. He's not Sammy. So we're going to just add 1. So Josh makes us 5. Alright, now we're going to go to Darth Vader. Okay, so Darth Vader is not John. He is Darth Vader. So we're going to subtract 5. And then we're going to break. So subtracting 5 is going to be 0. So 5 from 5 is 0. And then when we break, what does break do? It says stop what you're doing. Do not go to the next friend. Don't do anything at all. Skip the else. We're done. Goodbye. Okay, so then it stops and it does not play the else. The else does not play because we hit a break. The else will only play if... Let me say this. The else will play as long as we don't hit a break. There we go. This for added. Alright, so I'm going to say 0. And we don't even get to check Mr. Smith at all because we hit the break. So the break says we're done. No more friends. I don't care. Go away. Keep going to the next line of code. And Darth Vader, he subtracted 5. So let's see if that works. We'll run this. I'm going to try to see if the answer is 0. Press enter. That's correct. Alright. That's the end of this assignment. That's all you needed to know. I highly suggest that you take some time, maybe add some different friends. Let me give you one more before I go, and you can test it out and see if you can get it. I'm going to put Wesley in here, and I'll switch out Darth Vader with Wesley. And Wesley is going to do times equals 2. And I'll get rid of this nasty old break. And there we go. I'll leave you with this problem, and you can see if you can get the answer on your own. I do suggest that you maybe practice with a friend, maybe mix these up, change some of these ifs, and practice. If you don't understand how to get the correct number, then it's a good idea to use this tool that I just gave you as a practice. Alright, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a great day. I'll see y'all later.